I put out a tweet earlier. I said, if you end up divorcing your husband or wife on a podcast for views and clout, you're probably a pretty bad person. And I said this because this is an actual story. Tori Spelling tells Dean McDermott she filed for divorce during her new podcast.
Her new podcast, by the way, is called Miss Spelling. So it's a play on words, right? She's not a Mrs. anymore. She's a Miss, even though she's in her 50s. And also the cover photo for this podcast is just a picture of her completely naked.
Yes.
Photoshopped to all hell. Yep. And she is a mother of 5, so she is involving her children in this drama. And I listened, unfortunately, to almost half of this episode.
Not unfortunately. She's like, I can't turn it off.
I couldn't. It's like the Audible version of like you can't look away from a train wreck. It was like that. But she was talking about how her 15-year-old daughter is like, Mom, like people at school keep coming up to me and asking us about drama in the press about our family. And you're going to talk about your divorce on a podcast?
Oh, gosh.
And she's like, it's already bad, sweetie. Let mommy get her clout. Like,
oh, my goodness.
She does not care.
Let's listen to this clip from the show.
This is her actual phone call with her now ex-husband.
That she used to launch her new podcast.
Uh-huh.
I'm okay. How are you? Okay.
Oh, by the way, it's you only hear one side of the conversation. It's just
I hate to do this to you while you're in the middle of you're going to work and everything. They've done it. It's like it's just the formality. It's like a one sheet you check off, and next you'll have to sign it. You have a lawyer? Wait, it's going to be spun what way? That I had enough of you? What? What do you mean? I mean, in all honesty, after this whole journey, if it's about that, like who files first, the other person's wrong. I feel like I deserve to file first then. Well, I mean, you basically put it all out there with Daily Mail. Like you said, everything that you've done to me over the years. So I think it would make perfect sense that it's followed up that I would file. Because those are things I would never have divulged to anybody, and you did. So I don't know. I assume that'll come later. I think it's just like a one sheet where you literally like check like divorce and like irreconcilable differences.
Let's go through the other side because he had his own words to say in there. You got the transcript of it over there? Was it we had the transcript of it?
No, she didn't record him.
No, I know, but the quotes were there. Okay, so basically what happened is he was at work and says, she says, I don't know what it feels like a punch in the stomach. Then down here, she basically says that he agreed to do this because they'd separated a year prior. But here's the thing. You've got 5 kids. Don't do this for clout. I don't think that that's too much to ask. Am I crazy here? Am I the bad person?
She's clearly a narcissist.
Yeah.
Clearly. Never thought about anyone but herself. She then started crying after the end of the phone call to all of these people in the studio with her, saying, I've never felt so alone. Even though with all of these people around me, I feel like I'm not lovable. Like she was literally making it into a group therapy session for herself. And then she went into this diatribe about how she had such a hard upbringing, even though she is the Nepo baby of all Nepo babies.
She's Aaron Spelling's daughter.
She's Aaron Spelling's daughter, okay, and grew up in literally a 56,000 square foot home. And she was complaining about how she was raised with this expectation to represent her family name in a respectable, honorable way. Mm-hmm. Like she was expected to keep watch of what she said about her family or about herself, the way that she conducted herself publicly, as if that's a bad thing. Like, as if it's a bad thing to want to reflect well on your family.
Well, they don't like the idea of having that duty bound to put upon them. Like, they don't like the idea that anyone would ever have a say on anything they do in their life. That's a huge problem in society right now. It's like people are hesitant to admit that whether you like it or not, your behavior reflects that of other people.
Mm-hmm. You have a community. You're not just an individual. And
it would be nice, but that's just not how the world works.
Now to her like the next generation, where her 15-year-old daughter is like, hey, can you please not talk about your divorce, your and dad's divorce on your podcast, because I'm literally going to get bullied for it at my school, because everyone in that, you know, obviously like gated community of Hollywood elites talks to each other, and the parents talk and the students all know. And she's like, I don't know, sweetie, it's my life and I do it whatever I want now because I'm a single lady. I'm misspelling.
I mean, this
Yeah,
is
why have like 5 kids if you're gonna be a totally
if you're gonna be that
selfish
fucking
and
selfish,
narcissistic?
like,
well, this is the same thing we see with the moms that do OnlyFans, right? They don't
Yes.
think it should matter. They're like, well, you know, the kids shouldn't bully my son or daughter because I do this.
Exactly.
Well, yes, no, they shouldn't, but that's not the truth of the matter. That's not the way of the world.
literally that was the objection when I said, you know, hey, if you have kids in the future, like on the whatever podcast, I said, hey, if you have kids in the future, they're going to get bullied because you did these things and it's on the internet forever. And they were like, oh, well, those kids just should be taught not to bully. And I was like, okay, so clearly you're the one saying that everyone else in society needs to change and that your behavior doesn't need to change. I'm not the one telling anyone that they need to change their attitudes about sex work. You are. Yeah. But it's clearly just this selfish, egomaniacal behavior that is especially pronounced in celebrities, but it's really permeating throughout society at this point. And the reason for that is a lot of the time the influence of people like her.
Somebody pointed out, and I think Middle Maga pointed out in the comments, like Destiny like went through his divorce on stream for Clout, and I didn't know that, or
He
like
did?
or he went like they broke up on stream or something like that.
I didn't know
Just
about that.
never, just don't do that.
We got a 20 from Justin Seagraves. He said, just got out of the psych ward after some PTSD nonsense. Good to be out and listening to y'all again. Also, welcome back, Mary.
Hope you're all right, buddy.
Yeah, hope
And
you're okay.
welcome back to the world.
I hope that's not a joke. I don't know how to...
Yeah. I look at this stuff and it makes me unbelievably cynical to the world. That someone like Mary's inability to turn this podcast off is the scariest part. Is like Mary is the most.
I stare into the abyss.
Mary is the most rational person on earth. Like is listening to this and is just seemingly enthralled. And I'm like, this is a slow motion car wreck. It is, and the kids are paying the price. I wouldn't want you to do this even if you had no kids, because doing it for clout is insane. But like now imagine like you get your podcast numbers back and they're not high enough. You're like, was my divorce not salacious enough for you?
I mean, their marriage was salacious.
Yeah.
Let's like forget about the divorce. These were two married people who cheated on their spouses and got married afterwards.
Yeah.
So clearly
that's how they got together?
they never had any respect for marriage as an institution or as a sacrament in the first place.
It's what Eddie
was
Cibrian
bound to
did with
happen.
Leanne Rimes. Eddie Cibrian was married to Brandy Glanville.
Like, how do you not...
Has that ever worked out though?
No.
Like where
They're still-
the new
him and-
relationship actually lasts?
Him and Leanne Rimes are still together. So that's going on. I mean, not nearly as long as I think. I only know this because I've been watching Third Watch, and Eddie Cibrian is in Third Watch. So I was like looking through what he's been doing lately as far as movies and television. And they've been together like 11 years or something like that. But, you know.
Well, Tori Spelling was married for 18
Yep.
years.
Dang.
So it's not necessarily going to work out permanently. And I mean, I just think that you should see it as a red flag in yourself and your spouse if you both cheated when you first got together. That's a horrible sign.
Yeah.
And she was just acting like such a victim about it. She was like, I've just been like telling myself for years that like I needed to leave him. I needed to get away from what he was doing to me.
One of my favorite gags they ever did was in Scream 1 when they're talking about like, oh, what if this all got made into a movie? It was part of the meta humor of it. And they were talking about who would play Sydney. And Dewey's like, oh, I see you as a young Meg Ryan myself. And Sydney goes, thanks, but with my luck, they'll cast Tori Spelling. And then in the sequel to Scream, in Scream 2, where in this movie now, a movie that's been made about what happened to Sydney exists called Stab. And they're doing cast interviews with the people who played their characters in Stab, and Tori Spelling plays Sydney in Scream 2.
Look,
So-
everyone knew that Tori Spelling was a bad actress and not good looking. That's just a fact.
Allegedly, Ruckus says he wanted her to leave too. Trust. I'm sure he did. It didn't sound like he was waiting for the marriage to work out either. I'm saying, but for the sake of the kids, don't turn the divorce into cannon fodder for the
Thank
internet.
you.
And then dance.
I think she sounded offended after the phone call that he was being so cordial and professional about it.
Because he's at work. He's like, yeah. What time do I have to sign the forms? Okay.
And then
she totally dropped him by calling him at work.
They ended the phone call with "I love you."
That's so weird.
I mean,
did he say it back?
It's
I don't know.
still
because
ingrained in them, I'm sure. It's still ingrained in them.
That's just so sad. Like, divorce is so sad.
Yep.
So sad. And it's really like there's no respect for that. There's no like reverence for marriage anymore.
And she's probably going to talk about all the details as it's going on too.
I mean,
which is just not
this is like a grown woman. How old is she?
She's got to be in her
50-something?
50s now.
This is a woman in her 50s divorcing her husband of 18 years with whom she has 5 kids, giving it the same attitude as a 16-year-old girl going through her first high school breakup. Like, literally. I just don't have sympathy for that behavior, especially not publicizing it that way and making your kids go through the fallout.
Personally, I think it's all Eve's fault. That's what Shakira was saying, right? It's all Eve's fault.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.